What is up, everyone? I'm Carlos, and we're Emulate Sauce, and this is part 6 of the My Hero Academia What If series. What if Deku became a vigilante? Before we begin this part, we'd like to thank you all for the support you've been getting so far in all the other videos, and if you have another what if idea that you would like for us to do, leave it down in the comments below, and we'll make sure to reply to it. Now, let's get on with the what if. Deku's now in the League of Villains hideout and is tied up, as Shigaraki discusses with the League on what they should do with him. Deku's thinking to himself that he should play it cool for now and wait for an opening to attack. At a press conference, Aizawa was being questioned about the safety of UA students after they were attacked by villains in their summer camp. Aizawa says that UA will improve their safety and says that pro heroes will take down the League of Villains. The reporters ask about Midoriya and want to know what's the situation with him, and All Might shows up, saying that the vigilante known as the Green Blur is Izuku Midoriya. The public is shocked when hearing the news, and All Might and Aizawa head to the police station, where other pro heroes are waiting and preparing for the assault on the League of Villains. Back when the League attacked the summer camp, they brought Nomus with them to wreak havoc, and while fighting one, Yaoyorozu stuck a tracking device into one of the Nomus' backs. When she was at the hospital, All Might and the detective approached her, and she gave them a device to track down the Nomus' location. And that's also where he heard the news about Deku being captured, when he asked what exactly went down in the summer camp, and was told that the League of Villains captured the former student of UA, Izuku Midoriya. One team of pro heroes are preparing to attack the League's main hideout, and another team are heading towards the Nomus' location. At the Vigilante's hideout, Koichi tells Kazuho and Oguro that he's going to bring back Deku and that they should stay here. Kazuho says that they should all go and rescue him, but Koichi states that it won't be a good idea since Oguro can't fight in his current condition, and they can't leave him alone in the hideout defenseless, and that's why Kazuho should stay to protect him. Kazuho and Oguro aren't too happy with this plan, but they understand, and they agree to it, and Koichi heads off. At the hospital, Kirishima and Asui are visiting Yaoyorozu, and out of nowhere, Bakugo and Uraraka show up and ask Yaoyorozu if she can make them a tracking device, like the one she made for All Might, to locate the place where the Nomus are being kept. Yaoyorozu is concerned and asks if they're planning to go to that place, and both Bakugo and Uraraka look at her with a serious look. Kirishima jumps in, as well as Sue, and say that they can go and should leave it to the pro heroes to do this, but Bakugo screams at them, saying that they can't sit around and just wait. Bakugo says that back at the summer camp, they were right there in front of Deku, yet they couldn't do a single thing to help him. Kirishima kind of feels like going to rescue Deku, but he's still unsure, but then Bakugo says that they don't have to help him if they don't want to. It takes a while to think about, but 3 students all decide to go. The pro heroes manage to track down the hideout of the League of Villains, while the other team tracks down the location of the Nomus. All Might hopes that Deku is okay and wants to try one more time to convince him to quit being a vigilante. In the League of Villains hideout, Shigaraki goes up to Deku and asks him to join the League of Villains, but of course, Deku refuses, saying that he'll never join the League, but Shigaraki insists on him joining, stating that they need a replacement for one of their members that they just lost. But Shigaraki isn't talking about the ones they lost in the summer camp, but Toga, as he grabs her and gets ready to kill her. Deku immediately gets angry and breaks out of his restraints, using 10% of One For All. Deku gets Toga away from Shigaraki, and Toga questions what Shigaraki is doing. Shigaraki states that he knew that Toga was working with Deku for a while now, and since Deku doesn't want to join the League, Shigaraki will just capture both of them right now, so that All For One can take their quirks. Deku gets ready to attack, and Shigaraki sends Mr. Compress and Kurogiri to capture both Deku and Toga, and right before they clash, someone knocks on the door. Everyone stops, and they're in confusion, and before they knew it, All Might smashed through the wall of the villains' hideout. More pro heroes arrive and detain the League of Villains, as well as Toga and Deku. All Might looks at Deku, and he's glad that he's okay, but then quickly ignores him and faces Shigaraki, and questions him where All For One is at. Shigaraki screams out in anger at All Might, before some kind of black sludge covers him and the rest of the League of Villains, including Toga and Deku. All Might screams no at the sight of seeing Deku disappear, and looks outside of the hideout to see Nomus appearing in the streets, attacking the police and other pro heroes. Bakugo, Uraraka, Asui, Kirishima, and Yaoyorozu arrive at the city where the Nomus are being kept, and get some disguises so they won't be recognized, and head over to the Nomus location. They all arrive and see a facility with tons of Nomus inside, and freak out, but then see a giant leg tower over the building. It's Mount Lady, and she destroyed the facility, and she's with all her pro heroes. The pro heroes take care of the Nomus, but then they get attacked by none other than All For One. Luckily, most of the pro heroes are okay, except for one, Best Jeanist. He was attacked by All For One, leaving a huge hole in his chest, which killed him almost immediately. The students are completely terrified by what just happened, and can't even move due to the sheer terror. All For One proceeds to attack the other pro heroes, but then All Might shows up. All Might charges at All For One and begins to fight him. They're both equally matched and showing tremendous power. Deku and Toga appear in the battlefield, as well as Shigaraki and the rest of the League of Villains. Shigaraki sees All For One fighting All Might and notices Deku, and charges right at him and attacks him. Deku was caught off guard and was grabbed by Shigaraki, but Toga attacks Shigaraki, making him back away from Deku. Deku and Toga begin to fight the League of Villains, and they waste no time, with Deku going 15% of One For All and starts to attack, and Toga follows. Deku tries to attack Shigaraki, but is stopped by Dabi, and they begin to fight. Shigaraki focuses on Toga, but it's not a one-on-one. The rest of the league is helping Shigaraki. Shigaraki charges at Toga, but she manages to dodge his attacks and counters with some small cuts at him, trying not to stay too close to him and keep her momentum to move faster. Magnet decides to attack and makes Toga get closer to him, but then his attack stops as he was attacked by Koichi. Koichi finally arrives and helps both Deku and Toga fight the League of Villains. The students spot Deku fighting the League of Villains, and Bakugo tells them that this is their chance to get him out of there. Everyone isn't sure about approaching the area he's in, but Bakugo states that it isn't what they're gonna do. He explains the plan of launching themselves near his location, close enough for him to reach them. They'll use Uraraka's floating power, and Asui's gonna throw them using her tongue, and Bakugo is gonna use the explosions to boost himself once Deku grabs onto him. Uraraka asks Bakugo what if Deku doesn't choose to come with them, and Bakugo says that there's nothing they can do if he does that. If Deku chooses to be a vigilante than a hero, there's nothing they can do about it. They'll get prepared to begin the plan and hope that Deku chooses to come with them. All Might's fight with All For One continues, and he notices Deku fighting the League of Villains and can't quite focus on All For One with Deku there. But then he hears an explosion heading near the location, and it's Bakugo. Bakugo reaches out to Deku, but Deku doesn't launch himself at him and stays with Koichi and Toga. Deku's tired of Shigaraki and tells Koichi and Toga to leave for the hideout. They both do, and Deku powers up and shoots a big force of wind at the League of Villains, but All For One saves them by teleporting them away. All For One is now fighting Deku and All Might, but Deku and All Might aren't working together, and Deku wants to take down All For One, but also needs to get out of there, knowing that All Might will capture him. They all begin to fight, and they go all out, and it gets to the point when they all get into a struggle. But it's 2 against 1. All Might and Deku push with full power at All For One without even knowing, and it's too much for All For One and he's defeated. All Might used up all of his energy and can't even move now, but Deku still has some energy to walk away and starts to head out to the hideout. He looks back at All Might one more time as All Might raises his fist up high, demonstrating victory, and Deku shows a little smile for a second and then leaves. Well everyone, that's the end of this part of the What If. If you enjoyed, leave a like, consider subscribing, and share this video with a friend. Also, if you have another what if idea that you would like for us to do, leave it down in the comments below, and we'll make sure to reply to it. That's all I have to say, and thank you all for watching. Peace.